14 feet deep, saying it was a very deep basement. Again, but we don't have a basement, but again, it's about how we backfill, so we're not putting any load against our existing houses.
We're also going to do 2 town halls for the community to actually come in and tour the fire facilities and understand what our needs are and why we're looking at making a 21st century facility than what we're currently in, and the operations that our firefighters would have to work every day in these facilities, and why it's not on their side when we talk about the increase of cancer amongst firefighters in the profession and the conditions that these stations are in, and having to have the contaminated equipment right where they're sleeping, right where they're eating. None of us would want to do that, so that's why we're presenting what we are to you tonight.
And I would, answering the question about, is it appropriate to demolish the 2 existing fire stations, I would argue that the 2 existing stations were intrusions into the block that damaged the historic character of the neighborhood, and that these buildings are really repairing that damage. They're more appropriate for the neighborhood than the existing buildings.
And more functional.
That really was a goal of ours when I first, we started this under Mayor Gray, and then we extended it under Mayor Strachey. But with my conversations at the time with Charlotte was that this is a great opportunity to repair damage that was done at that time. And that's the whole theme of concept of bringing the fire tower forward, is to really try to allow the stations to knit somewhere with the existing neighborhood before they pull back, as opposed to being this isolated little thing that has no relationship to anything that's going on around.
Right.
So.
Questions, comments from, yes, you may introduce yourself.
Hi, Susie Hoover. Hi. I was with the East Kennett Business District in the period of 2004 to 2008. And during that time, Jim Bowers down at the Park Department got my attention to come down, and they had the original bell for station number 3. And that was during Charlie Circle. It was still there, and we took it right. The council secured the bell. Quite a lot of effort and money was put into. Are you going to be able to keep that? Everything else I love.
Yeah, the plan is for both bells. There's a bell at both stations.
And there's a bell, and they got their bell, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
The entry lobby is a small museum to the history of firefighting in Lancaster. And so the idea of coming from the chief and the firefighters was to display the bell in the lobby of each station. So each station will have a bell displayed in their lobby, along with historical photographs of firefighting in Lancaster City.
Now, is the bell going to stay outside where it is?
No, to be inside in the lobby.
They're going to move it, okay, because structurally we went down 14 feet to make that solid so it could handle that bell. Plus, will the statue also be taken indoors?
That's my understanding of the statue.
Yeah, the statue we are going to keep. We just don't know where that's going to end up.
Okay.
If that's going to be public art, outdoors or indoors.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have it outdoors because I'd love seeing it
But obviously, on the
outdoors.
footprint we have with the apparatus, we got to be creative in what we're doing.
Yeah, because I always have, we really put a lot of design work into that, and I always love driving by and seeing it.
The bell's a chore for our structural engineer. But no, both stations have a lobby, which are museums, and they're actually a public lobby right now. When you get in the station, you ring the buzzer and you're in to the work area. There's no buffer whatsoever, including cold air that comes in with you, or snow or sleet, rain that comes in with you. So there's a lobby at both stations.
It would be interesting until they reopen, and I hope they do at some point, is on loan from Demuth. Some of the fire helmets, and you remember that ringed the whole store, the retail store, and maybe make contact with them and see.
That would be interesting.
For your museum, if it could be on loan.
Right.
They're not going to give it to you.
Correct. Right. And it would be secure display in the museum area, so that would make a lot of sense.
Any other questions or comments?
I had one, Gloria asked, not everyone thinks the Century Modern is an ugly intrusion, so is there any effort made to keep any of the characteristics of the existing buildings, like the font or the lettering, or brickwork design, anything like that?
Right.
Is there
Well,
any
I agree agree with you. I don't think modernism is ugly. I love needs and good modernism.
Right,
You know,
good
what I mean?
modernism,
Like,
yeah.
you know,
This
Steve,
isn't-
you love good modernism as well, just from historical conversations we have. You know, the question is obviously, and that's why we have a board that's broad in its perspective, is to evaluate is this good modernism. And my suggestion, maybe it's not, but, you know, maybe there is something like
The
that.
font might be an easy holdover, or either some of the other characteristics of the corners or brickwork or something like that, that might give a nod to the longer history of the space.
Yeah. I mean, I think the idea of doing something that's not constructional, it's difficult to integrate that without maybe diluting some of the architectural character of what you're trying to present, but, you know, I think that's, Chief's here and he can hear that and take that into account.
Do you intend to put
There's-
cast letters or signage on the front?
That we haven't gone that far.
Okay.
I mean, there will be some type of signage, and part of the discussion is stations are no longer going to be station 1 and 3. It'll be East King Street Station and West King Street Station. There are some emblems and some graphic images that, as the chief has on his shoulder, that are part of the fire station sort of new graphic package that will be developed, and that would be something that might tie into your comment, I think, very well. Right now, if you haven't been in the fire station, like I said, there is no detail in the station. It's block. Everything is block. It's glazed block, and some portions are just raw painted block, and portions acoustical Armstrong blue on acoustical tile, and it's VCT on the floor where there is floor. So unfortunately, there's nothing to salvage in any of these buildings.
I would say just in defense of mid-century modern, I would say that the old Bear Public Safety Building on Duke Street was a beautiful mid-century firehouse, and it's still there, and it's it's found a new use, which I think is fabulous.
I agree.
Any other questions or comments?
I do support, because I have been to Station 3 many times, and it's very depressing. And the sleeping area is just awful. And I think this is going to be a really nice addition to the neighborhood.
Okay, that also brings up a point. We do have female firefighters. Current conditions, everybody sleeps in an open room just like this. So that's where these new facilities, we're integrating separation rooms for males and females. So we're taking into account everything that the industry standards now asking for moving forward in the 21st century is what we're seeing. So we're taking all that into consideration from what we currently do.
Do I hear a motion?
Well, real quick, I don't want to,
Okay.
I feel like in the back you've been trying to say something. I don't want to put you on the spot, so I'm not saying say something, but I just want to make sure you were able to. You've been here for 2 hours.
For 4.2, we can break down, we can insert 3.1 and a half to break down this fire station versus the garage on Grant Street.
If somebody,
My name's Andrew Martin. I own 417 West Grant Street across from the warehouse proposed to be torn down. So I was mostly just coming to make sure, my concern was that it was just being torn down because of the state it's in. But from the presentation, it really looks like that needs to be torn down to make way for the firehouse. So
And
my
that's why
concerns
I'm
are
wondering if
addressed.
we can separate it, because we're then approving new construction.
I mean, there isn't any way you could build a
Yeah.
I
firehouse.
guess that was the question I came to ask.
Yeah.
It looks like that's been answered.
Could you preserve the facades there?
There's not much of a facade there really.
Well, it concerns me, could I approach and put something up there if you Google the street?
You guys don't seem interested.
I'm interested in it.
We want
But
to hear you
I just,
out.
it seems very impartial. I mean, I think the beauty of the city is some of these alleys that we have. Tough to see.
It's upside down.
turn around.
But part of that attractiveness of Grant Street, I mean, none of them have sidewalks, but it's some of these old buildings with these, old classic warehouse windows. And it seems a
Trees
shame.
growing out of the side.
Yeah, talk about deferred maintenance and demolition by neglect. That's a classic example right there.
For that, it's okay.
in that streetscape you have, it's a nice small pedestrian-sized alley or bicycle as well, with, you know, some warehousing on one side. And then on that side, there's a nice carriage house that's maybe, you know, this may be residential now, up the street. To poke a hole in that, already there's a bunch of holes in there, but to poke another hole in there, take this down for 6 parking spots, it just seems very unfortunate to me that we can't preserve that fabric. Even if it is something, you know, as a facade that you have parking behind, like a trophy house, next to Robbery, actually. That's my concern. It just seems like.
All right, thank you.
You should be. Obviously, no one else shares the concern.
No, I think that's good. Grant's one of my favorite streets to walk down, visit all the adapted, all the things that happen. Some of those houses when like homes, but there's meaning, like it's cool, like corrugated, whatever it might be, metal. So I don't know. It's an interesting conversation. I mean, I mean, as much as the chief, you brought up the fact that. I mean, just the health and safety aspect of it, obviously that's big, but I'm a health and safety professional, so that hits home for me, but I don't think this board, as odd as that might sound, takes those type of things into consideration. I mean, we look at strictly the historical significance of structure, so the city council makes the ultimate decision, so we just recommend.
And, you know, and we're just one step in the review process. This goes before a lot of commissions, a lot of boards, you know, that look at all of those different aspects. And we need to keep our you know, review fairly narrow.
So is there a motion on our review for what is proposed for the demolition and the new construction for both properties?
No.
No,
Yeah.
we got it
All separate, okay.
Individually, yeah.
I move that we approve the demolition in 3.1 of the existing firehouse on West King Street.
Unless changed. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay. Comment?
Yes.
Again, I'd just like it to be clear that our motion should be stated in the form of a recommendation that City Council approve, that we not approve. Your wording that we approve it. We recommend that City Council approve it.
And you need to cite standards.
Are these going now to the, a committee before they go to city council?
Probably.
And is there time at the committee to kind of break down the nuances or explain kind of our struggle? I mean, it seems to me, as I said in the beginning before I was interrupted, that there is kind of a philosophical back and forth here with the civic, you know, need versus the historic nature of the building.
At the committee meeting, yes, they'll hear from, again, the applicant, they'll hear from the audience, and any commission member who feels differently or voted against it, it's their place to say why. It's a bad precedent or it's not warranted or justified. Which is why I was said we could break it down to the station itself, the rear garage, and you can vote accordingly.
That's what my motion was for 3.1.
To just the station.
Just the station.
Okay.
3.1, yes.
That's not 3.1.
Well, we're inserting
We're
3.1 and
3.1A.
I don't know how I could vote to approve new construction if I'm voting against, you know, if I'm saying we're not going to demolish that garage. It seems philosophically confusing.
Well, it's not actually permitted in my opinion, because if you approve the demolition of just the building up front, then they can't build 4.1 as presented, and we can't just approve a demolition for a demolition. So you must approve, we must have a motion for 3.1, both buildings,
Right.
on the contingency that we're also approving 4.1, the new construction. I believe that's the rationale. So,
Right.
again, I guess.
Everyone doesn't have to agree. The
Correct.
motion is
Right.
your
Correct.
motion.
So is,
The motion is to recommend.
Okay, so we're, for 3.1 is both buildings.
that is how it's stated here.
Okay.
Yeah. So that motion is to recommend that City Council approve the demolition in accordance with Secretary of Interior Standards number 1.
And I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Do I hear a motion for 4.1, which relates to 425 West King Street?
3.2.
3.2. I move.
I'm sorry, you're at 3.2.
Approval by City
Yes,
Council
yes,
of the
that's right.
construction at 425 West King Street based on Secretary of Interior Standards 9, 10, and Design Standards.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Do I have a motion for,
Yeah, I move that we approve item 4, no,
Recommend
we
approval.
recommend approval of new construction 4.
No, demolition.
No, we did do it.
We're
No,
on.
this is the new
We're
name.
on to East King Street now.
I thought,
Second
saw
building.
somebody up there motion.
We're doing, we did West
We did
King, we're
West
doing
King.
East King
Okay, I
now.
see.
4.1 demolition. And there's only one building.
Okay. I move that we recommend City Council approve the demolition of the existing firehouse at 333 East King Street. This recommendation references Secretary of Interior Standards number 1.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
And Steve, would you like to make a motion for 4.2?
4.2, I move that this commission recommend that City Council approve the application for construction of a new firehouse at 333 East King Street. This recommendation references Secretary of Interior Standards number 9, 10, and the Historical Commission's design standards.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Motion's passed.
It does have to go to committee April 1st, and then maybe, I'll send you it in writing, and then it could possibly go on to full council on April 9th.
Thank you all very much.
It's a nice presentation.
So late.
You're not the ones that kept us here.
Do we have any other business?
Here.
It's down here.
Well done, Bruce. Oh, thank you.
Item 6, to assign commission member to April 1st, April 9th.
Definitely because of North Prince, both the committee and the, whenever it goes to council.
The first one, April 1st.
Well, they're going to committee too, but definitely for the Rim Street. And then
I
if
was
you wanna
hoping
talk
to
about the fire
attend, but I think
station-
if we have multiple people there, it might be beneficial.
Is that open to the public?
Mhm.
There will be public there, so that's a Monday?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you make it, Steve? I thought you had a lot of points on the North Prince project that are important to reiterate.
Yeah, I can go on Monday, April 1st.
Anybody else?
Do you want to show a force?
I'll be probably there as well.
Okay. I'll send around an email,
Okay,
whoever
if we
can
need
show
people,
up
I'm
and show
happy
up.
to go. Yeah, but I think Steve sort of speaks, but, you know, my opinion as well.
We're adjourned.
Is it 6?
Yeah, I'll send you.
Okay.
I move we adjourn.
I second it.
All right, adjourned.
The longest meeting.
7:30.
I think it's been longer.
Okay.